get started, shall we? Alright, so today I'm doing a video on Princess Parrot. This is probably a much lesser known bird, but very unique and quite interesting in itself. Before I get into it properly, I'm just going to sort out all my supplies for this spread, because if I don't do that up front, then it won't be done. I'll just be here talking without doing anything. So let me get some supplies. Light, bright, pretty spread. I've got a lot of pastel colours here, but that really suits this bird today. So let's get into some descriptions, some facts, and I'll start decorating while we go. Called Fish and Chirps. They are based in Canada. I will link all their details below as usual, but they, being called Fish and Chirps, obviously do a lot of bird stickers, and yeah, they're a great little company. So this guy we're doing today is the Princess Parrot, or Polytelus alexandrae. So this little guy is named in honor of Princess Alexandra of Denmark, who later became Queen Consort of the United Kingdom in 1901. So this was obviously when Europeans came to Australia. This is an Australian bird, if I didn't mention that. Another Australian animal on this channel. We do a lot of Australian animals. And yeah, this little guy came, when European settlers came over, they named this guy after the queen at the time, or the princess who later became queen. So Princess Parrot. And just a little introduction, they are beautiful. They've got some unique colours. Quite popular in captivity because of their looks and cheery personality. So they are just a really chilled out bird. There are two other types of bird that are very similar to this guy, to Princess Parrots. In the same family, they're cousins, but completely different colours, and they're all quite bright and colourful. It's really interesting that they've all diversified the way they have. I'll be doing more videos on them soon, but today we're going to stick with the Princess Parrot and tell you all about that one. So unfortunately they are vulnerable in the wild, even though they're quite common in captivity. Numbers are unknown in captivity, but there are a lot of collections. I have actually seen collections myself in Victoria, people who have Princess Parrots in aviaries. And yeah, they're quite big in the pet trade. Probably not as much anymore. I think they were a lot bigger in the 90s and the early 2000s. I haven't seen one for a while, but they are still around in the pet trade and the aviary trade. And yeah, there's a lot in the wild, but they're nowhere near as common as they used to be. So they're getting vulnerable, and yeah, it can be unpredictable why, but I'll get to that soon. So they are nomadic and they follow desert rains. So that's a big part of their uniqueness. So I'm going to start gluing this down. Let's put that there. I think I might just trim this a little bit, and then I will stick it down. While I'm doing that, I'll do some talking. Actually, I might rip it. Okay, so let's talk about the name. Princess Parrot, and scientific name of Polytelus, which is the same as these other species. So Polytelus species. The other two I will do separate videos about, but they are the superb parrot and regent parrot, the scientific name. And they're otherwise known as the Queen Alexandra parrot, Alexandra's parakeet, or the rose-throated parakeet. None of which I've heard of. I've always known them as princess parrots. So let's break down the scientific name. So Polytelus, which is the genus that the other two have as well, translates to magnificent. So in Greek, it just literally means magnificent, highlighting the bird's vibrant appearance. Its two colourful cousins, the superb parrot and the regent parrot, are very bright and colourful as well, but in different ways. I will get into those in other videos again. So the species name Alexandrae is named in honour of Princess Alexandra of Denmark, who became the Princess of Wales upon her marriage to Edward VIII. So obviously a little bit of history back in the day, that this was when European. So as I've mentioned, we've got the superb parrot, who is the cousin, and their scientific name is Polytelus swainsoli. And we have the regent parrot, which is Polytelus anthopeplis. But I will get into those more in another video, and then I might do a like a conclusion and talk about all three of them. Okay, so this guy, the appearance, he's a medium-sized parrot. I know it's really hard to tell the size of and at 46 centimeters long, or 18 inches, and they have this long narrow tail. Now their colouring is very interesting. It's pale green and brown body, and they have the pastel pink and purple head and a little bit on the chest. Not showing it in this one, but there is some purpley blue down here, and they actually have fluoro and brighter greens in their wings. This is like a really bright fluoro green with, amazingly, a bright red beak. So males are more vibrant than females, so they're the ones with the bright colours, and they have the bright red beak, whereas a female has like a duller pinky brown beak. Okay, so that's what they look like. Let me glue some of this down. So conservationally speaking, they are threatened or near threatened depending on the location and the state. But they are found in central Australia, so in the middle of Australia in the deserts. Basically, they're widespread throughout. Their range is huge, but it's really hard to track where they go specifically. Nomadic, they will travel all around with the rain, so it's hard to determine where they'll end up. It's really hard to limit these kinds of things down, but it's very varied as well. So their key threats include illegal capture for the pet trade, which probably doesn't happen as much as it used to. I think there are a lot more birds in the world that people are more interested in keeping than these guys, but it does still happen, and it always has happened. So that's not great. It's obviously illegal. There's also habitat degradation due to mining and land clearing. There's also invasive species that eat the same foods and use the same environments as these birds, disrupting food sources and even their nesting sites. Also, altered fire regimes is a big one that comes up a lot with endangered species and environmental conservation groups. They like to put the blame on fire a lot, but I don't like when they do that, because fire is natural. Especially in Australia, fires have always happened, and a lot of plants and animals and every natural thing in Australia has adapted to withstand fire. And I think it's a shame that humans have come along and sort of changed that, saying there shouldn't be fires at all, or basically just building stuff where fires used to be, and now where fires would burn through and not destroy, because it always just regenerated the bush. But these days that doesn't happen, because obviously that would destroy our built environments. So it's really hard to put blame on anyone, and it's also completely fair to say we need to prevent fires, but we also need to be aware, I think, of the fact that Australia was made on fire, because most of our plants only regenerate through fire, or they do well, they grow back better if they are burnt out and that sort of thing. So I just want to make it clear that it's, when people say altered fire regimes, they mean burning has now stopped, so the bush doesn't regenerate and there are weedier plants, and it never used to be like that. You know, it's a bit hard to explain, but I'm doing a terrible job at it. But it's really hard to come along and say the fires are happening everywhere, or fires aren't happening enough, because we changed the ecosystem and we changed everything that's going on around here because humans wanted built environments and stuff. So I don't know, it gets very complicated, and I don't want to step on anyone's toes, but I don't like it when we blame fires happening for being the reason to, you know, that are animals going extinct, because they're the ones who have always adapted to fire. We're the ones who can't adapt to fire, not the animals and the plants, as humans, I mean. So the habitat degradation and land clearing, that sort of thing, can also be caused by invasive species or feral animals. So you got your rabbits, fox, cats, that sort of thing. They not only prey on these birds, but rabbits, for example, may take away their food source because they're eating all the grasses that the bird eats the seeds from. So that's just something that it's not good. It's no better than humans. It's out of control everywhere, but it's something that happens in nature as well, and it's something that happens in Australia definitely, and that's definitely been because of human intervention. Because when Europeans first came to Australia, they brought a bunch of feral animals over, and sorry, my batteries went flat, but as I was saying, they literally brought feral animals over and integrated them into Australia because they thought they'd be better off than the animals that were already here. Princess Parrot, their diet consists of seeds, just like a lot of other parrots. They eat grains and seeds, and specifically from spinifex and other grass and shrubs. So they are foragers, meaning they will also eat fruit and flowers and nuts, those sort of things that they find, but predominantly seeds. So their behaviour, they are found in a variety of woodlands and scrub and bush in arid areas, meaning the outback in the middle of Australia. They like to nest and form groups in scrub with spinifex, eucalyptus and acacias. So these small groups will arrive in a certain area and breed and nest in hollow, make their nests in hollows. So this is where we get to their behaviour. So they're nomadic, as I've mentioned, and they just put a bit of this down. I might do him on this side. Okay, so they are nomadic, meaning not migratory. They don't travel around in the same direction, but when they do travel, they follow the rains. So their movement is literally dependent on the weather, and honestly I just think that's beautiful, because I think us as humans, we get carried away with the norm, and we rely on things like weather forecasts and news and other people and that before we even have a look outside at the clouds and see what the weather's going to do today. And I know that's getting a bit deep and philosophical and all that, but yeah, these guys just go basically wherever they please, wherever it suits them, and it's unlike other birds and other animals. A lot of other animals have a purpose and they migrate, and that's where they'll go, but these guys are nomadic, so they're like gypsies or hippies or something, whatever you want to call them, and yeah, they just kind of do their own thing. Obviously it's a lot more complicated than that, and they do literally follow rains across the desert just so there's an abundance and all that sort of thing. But yeah, I just think it's quite nice, because a lot of the comments about princess parrots are bird watchers and things saying that they're really hard to keep track of, because they're not like other parrots who are migratory or just you know where they're going. These guys you don't really know, and I just think that's awesome. That's nature for you. It's always unpredictable. Western Queensland and New South Wales, all the way up to the Northern Territory, through South Australia, and also into Western Australia. So just the middle of Australia there, right in the outback. So they have a really nice vocalization through soft melodious tweets. I'll try to insert a clip if I can, but I may not be able to. It's a bit hard. But they've got a very nice little chirp call. They are quite shy, but they're fast moving, so they're just always busy, and they can fly. They usually fly low and fast through vegetation, through spinifex and trees and stuff. They are also quite quiet, but they can produce sharp calls if under threat. So they do like the little chattering tweets to each other, and then if there is a threat, they will alert each other or a group. Their typical call when at rest or in flight is described as a soft, repetitive chirp, 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 chirp. And this is another interesting behaviour. They are known to mob predators, which mobbing is a behaviour where prey animals, especially birds, but normally like eagles and hawks and stuff, not really parrots, collectively attack or harass a predator to protect themselves or their young. This tactic helps drive the predator away and can also serve to alert other animals about the threat. So I don't know, kangaroos or something might notice. Obviously you would notice if a bird who's normally quiet suddenly starts screeching, but I just thought that was really interesting. Okay. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this guy. So I keep saying he because the males are the most colourful ones. Oh, and that's true for a lot of birds. I think, especially in parrots, and I mean not all birds, but a lot of birds, the males are predominantly more colourful than the females. The males have this bright red beak and this, you know, real pastel-y colours, and then they've got this fluoro green on their wings. So it's just really interesting and unique. I don't think it poses any kind of camouflage or anything. They're just a bright, colourful bird. I mean, I would say the green, because they have so many different coloured greens on their body, they blend into different vegetative environments, so different vegetation, different trees. If they fly low to the ground, then they would definitely be flying in grasses and things, and grasses can be very it can be great camo having different coloured greens, because your lines are blurred a lot with the... I've definitely seen a lot of regent parrots and superb parrots. Not as many princess parrots, I must say, but I have seen them in collections with like all kinds of birds, but usually by themselves, not with the regent or the superb parrots. So yeah, they are beautiful birds. Okay, so I've done those ones. Roles, the ecological roles they play. Look, I don't like referring to it like that, because a lot of animals can just be there as much as people can. And it annoys me when people have to justify. So also, in being a nomadic species, the princess parrot helps to balance resources across different ecosystems, meaning its movement in response to where the rains are and where the food is, and therefore where they end up breeding. The water availability ensures that specific areas are not overly exploited. So obviously with the introduction of feral animals like rabbits and cats and things, it makes it even more difficult. But the princess parrot isn't hanging around in areas where everything's already been picked clean and there's not enough water, that sort of thing, because they just move on if there's not enough. Whereas a lot of animals physically can't do that or aren't able to do that. So I just thought there are a few little things that often get overlooked. This obviously is very unique and a really good case in princess parrots, but a lot of other animals do these sort of things too. Just gonna do some on this side. We just want to really emphasize that they follow the rain around the desert. yeah. Okay. And I think we're done. Can't even see it, not in frame. Okay, so thank you again for watching my video, and I really hope you'll come back and watch more, and I'll get on to those cousins of the Princess Parrot soon. Thank you so much for watching.